Hello again, it's Jessie here from the Financial Toolbox to answer the question that was sent in this week. It's a great question. It goes, hey Jessie, what do I need a power of attorney for if I have a will? I find there's a lot of confusion around this area. People don't have a clear sense of what the difference is between the power of attorney and a will. So let's start with that. The power of attorney is a document you will elect for someone to have legal authority to make decisions for you upon your best interest if you become incapacitated. So this is going to be something that will completely turn off and it will become null and void when you die. The will take over from when you die, so that's going to be a very clear distinction between the two. There's a strong argument that the power of attorney will be a more important document for you than even your will. Reason being is because if you're still around in an incapacitated state, these decisions are going to be affecting you personally. Once you die and you get your wings, some people might not care what happens to their money, to their estate, everything like that. So that's an important thing. The power of attorney can be tremendously important for that reason. Let's take a look at the different types of the power of attorney. In Ontario, there's 3 different types, and they fall under 2 different classifications. You've got one for property, and you've got one for personal care. When it comes down to property, this is something where you will elect for someone to make decisions on your financial matters. You know, who's going to pay your bills, pay your taxes, make sure your investments are handled properly, everything financially. This is the most important document on this, I find, is a continuing power of attorney. This will be a document that will allow them to make those decisions even when, or even should, you become incapacitated. You want to make sure that you've got a continuing power of attorney for that basis and not a non-continuing power of attorney, imagining this is going to act the same way as a continuing power of attorney, because the non-continuing one will stop if you become incapacitated. That power was taken away from that person. You want to make sure you have a continuing power of attorney for that reason. Next, we'll look over at the personal care power of attorney. This is something where it's set up for you to nominate someone to make decisions on the type of health care you have, where you're going to live, what type of food you're going to have. It's a very important document that way. It gets triggered upon incapacity. The next thing on this is that you can add what's called a living will to this document, where it's a specific set of things where you're legally obligated in the power of attorney to act upon your wishes if those things happen. Without a living will, they will just act upon what they believe to be your best wishes. Now, you want to make sure that the power of attorney for personal care is done properly. There is nightmare situations that have been happening where if someone hasn't nominated it, it'll go towards family members and they all make a decision based upon what they think is best for you, which generally doesn't work so well. And if there's no family members, it goes to the government. There have been situations in Canada and in the US where it's gone to the Supreme Court where family members are battling against each other to decide on what's best for you. So nominate a power of attorney for personal care especially, and take that issue out of the possibility. In fact, you may remember a situation in Florida that happened with a lady by the name of Terry Schiavo. Her family were battling for 15 years. She was kept alive against her wishes based upon what her family was arguing about what was best for her. It was a heartbreaking situation, so don't let it happen to someone that you love or yourself. There's 5 things that you're going to need when deciding on what you want or who you want for your power of attorney. You want someone who you could trust. You want someone who's responsible with money. You want someone who's reliable. You want someone who can make the time. They can be busy people, but if they can't make the time to do this, you don't want them. You also want someone who can emotionally distance themselves from your situation. If they're going to need to make the hard decisions, you want them to make the hard decisions. If you have a power of attorney that doesn't represent these 5 things, you might want to reconsider for someone who can actually act upon that. Now, there's different ways to get a power of attorney. You can get it done through the Ontario government. It has a website. I would recommend you get it done through a lawyer. It shouldn't cost you more than $100 to get a power of attorney done. But if you don't have one done and your family has to go to court, it could cost 100 times that. It could cost $10,000 and more in legal fees. So you want to make sure that this is something properly taken care of for your benefit. Well, In the time we have, that's as much of a condensed answer as I could offer on power of attorneys. I hope this answers your question. I love answering these questions. Please keep them coming. You guys are awesome. And subscribe to the channel. Send the questions in. I love doing this. It's one more tool for your toolbox. Jesse Christo signing out.